today I'll be working on a triple fold journaling spot. So a triple fold journaling spot is just a section with lined paper that you can write in that folds over at least twice on itself. So it has three separate sections and it folds out and then it folds out again. So I'm just going to start with this sort of brick coloured paper here. And what I'll be doing is I'll be making the base for it on here, and then I'll be cutting lined paper to fit in the three sections. I'm just going to start by cutting this slightly smaller than what my page size is going to be, so just under 5 inches. And I've got some lined paper here as well. And I'm going to be scoring this one. So scoring is putting a fold in there. So I'm going to have the underneath section is going to be 3 1/8 inch. So this one's going to fold out this way and then out again from this side. So because this one is 3 1/8 inch, because I want this section to be slightly bigger, I'm going to score it to just over that. So I'm not going to quite go to 3 1/4. So I'm only going to add maybe about a 1/16 of an inch more on there. Then I'm going to cut this last section to 3 1/8. So the reason that I make the underneath section slightly longer is so that when my pages fold in, they're not pushing up against each other on the edges. So if these were exactly the same size, then these pages would be sitting in the creases there and make it harder for it to actually fold over. I'm just going to go over my score lines there with my bone folder again. So essentially this is how it's going to sit on my page. So it's going to fold out here and then it's going to fold out here. So with these ones, because they've been cut to 3 1/8 inch, I want my paper to be slightly smaller, so I'm going to cut my paper to 3 inches tall. 3 inches wide. And because this one is 5 7/8, we're going to cut the height to 5 3/4 to make it just slightly smaller. 4 3/4. So that's going to fit just inside there. So these ones will have to be cut slightly shorter. So because these sections are slightly narrower, So these ones, because of the fold, have come out to approximately 3 inches. So I'm going to cut it to 2 7/8. What I might actually do for this one is cut 2 more of these size and have them on the front as well. So this is basically going to be, actually I might just do 1 more, because this is going to be a lot of journaling space then, but I think I want to put a bit of decoration on this one. Alright, so there's my papers there. I'm going to round the corners of these ones, and I am going to ink the edges as well. So I'm thinking with this one I will go with the brown ink. I think the green would contrast too much with the red and it would look a little bit odd. Now this paper is definitely not great quality, so it is quite thin, but that's fine when we're backing it with something like cardstock, so you won't be able to tell how thin it is, and it will actually just help keep the whole embellishment a little bit thinner as well. It will fit in the journal a little bit better. I do like using thinner paper like this for notebooks as well, just for the same reason. So if you use a much thinner paper like this, then you can get maybe 10 to 20 pages in, whereas if you use a thicker paper, your maximum might be about 6 to 8 pages before it gets too thick to actually fit in the journal properly. So if you're not a big fan of writing in your journals, then you can always use sections like this to add embellishments instead. You don't have to add lined paper. I just like adding journaling spaces, even though, to be honest, I don't actually use them all that often. I don't know, I like the look of them. going to start by gluing this one in because it's the only one that's a different size. So if I get that one done now, then I'm not going to accidentally try to glue it into the wrong spot. And once again, just going to use the edge of my bone folder to make sure that that's a nice, neat attachment there. Just make sure that we have it far enough away from the creases that everything still folds properly. My fold may have been a bit shorter here because it's not quite lining up with the edge, but that's alright. So we'll use that side on the outside then because that's slightly longer, so that's going to sit a bit more flush to there. So we'll need to put the next piece on here. So we've got one section, two sections, three sections, four sections for journaling. So I am just going to add a little bit of the stenciling to this. I'm really liking this one here, so I'm going to use that one again. Just going to quickly wipe off the green because I want to do this one in brown. Just lining this up with the bottom edge here and the side edge here, just to try and keep each section as matching as possible. So stenciling on these parts isn't necessary. I think it just gives it something a little bit extra and makes it a bit less plain. So if you don't end up using these journaling spots straight away, they still look like they've got something on there. Right, now I need to work out what to put on the front here. I'm actually thinking I might get one of the bigger images from here. Let's see what we've got. So let's go some text for the background, and then go a fussy cut image over the top, I think. Going to go over those creases again because this is popping open a little bit. So just because we added the thickness of the extra paper in there. There we go, that's a lot better. It's sitting a lot closer now. I do like to just open it up after I've done that, just to make sure I haven't accidentally glued any of the pages down or anything like that. Get another one of those little hexagons for there as well. Now with this, we want to make sure that I get something that's going to stay within the edges here, because if I have something that goes over the edge here, when you fold that page out, it is going to bend and it is going to damage over time, and it will probably end up breaking. But I do want something a little bit larger. That's just too large there, so I might just cut off that end bit there. Just like that. Alright, I like that. I want to make sure I angle that right so that I've not got any overhang on either side. Now with a detailed shape like this, with all the little parts on the end, this is where a needle nose glue bottle really comes into its own. going to use my bone folder to get all those little pieces to stick down. I tore a bit off there to be a bit more gentle. Alright, and there's my completed triple fold journaling spot.